Hey everybody, Leadspeed here. Wow, it's one of these things. Yeah, Banlist discussions. Some people probably expected it, others probably didn't, or any combination of the two. Maybe everybody expected it, or maybe nobody expected it. I really don't know, but honestly, that doesn't matter. We're doing it anyways. So I'm gonna do my discussions on the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Forbidden and Limited list effective from April 1st, because why not, to July 13th, because why not. I know there's something going on around the 13th. It might be Nationals or something. Yeah, there's a specific reason for it, and I don't remember what it is right now, so sorry about that. But yeah, effective from April 1st, so yeah, a lot of people were like, oh my god, this is probably like an April Fool's joke, and honestly, I don't think it is. On their strategy side, which I'll pull up really quickly, they posted an article mentioning the new Forbidden and Limited list is now posted and it will remain in effect here, blah blah blah. It'll be this list that is used for all World Championship qualifier tournaments this year. So there you go. If you had any doubts, there you go. I'll link both in the description below if you want to follow along. But yeah, this list is like if I could sum it up with one word, it would be strange. And I'll explain why that is. But I'll quickly go over the cards that have changed and then I'll go more in depth. So here we go. For the Forbidden Gods, we have Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. And that's it. Yeah, just those two. For the limited cards, Coach Soldier Wolfbark and Mermail Abyssgunde. I'm sure people are going to want to know how I feel about this card, but we'll get to that later in a bit. We have Rekindling and Infernity Barrier. Interesting. For the semi-limited cards, well, the newly semi-limited cards, Necroface and Hieratic Seal of Convocation. Then for the unlimits, that means you can run 3 of these in your deck now. Magical Stone of Excavation and Primal Seed. So far, we have a very interesting list. I call it strange, but it's interesting as well, I guess. But more so strange to me, just for like some of the hits. Now, Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. From what I understand, particularly with Morphing Jar number 2, it has involvement with the Jackpot 7 FTK OTK thingamabobber. I mean, I knew it existed. I didn't think about Morphing Jar number 2. That's kind of why I'm thinking, because I know that you can use Dark Scorpion Burglars in combination with this combo. Use like Dark Scorpion Burglars, Creature Swap, and Scapegoat, and then you attack with the Scapegoat tokens come your turn, and then you, like, each time Dark Scorpion Burglars does damage, you send the spell card from your deck to the graveyard, since it was from your opponent's side of the field, and it was on the opponent's side of the field when you took the damage. I know about that, but I didn't think, Morphing Jar number 2 and possibly Morphing Jar number 1. Didn't think about these two, but yeah, Konami TCG probably knew about these, and preemptively they're hitting these cards before Jackpot 7 comes out in Primal Origins. So yeah, and I guess it kind of goes along with the whole alternate win conditions thingy they're getting rid of and stuff like that, because we had like self-destruct button, which got banned on the previous list and whatnot. So I guess they're just kind of getting rid of like these kind of troll decks or alternate win condition decks and stuff like that. And Empty Jar, I guess Empty Jar is kind of in that category too, but it's been like ages since I ran into that, so I have not much to say about that, but it's very interesting to say the least. And that's it. These are the only cards that are banned, so there's nothing else that's banned. No Dragon Lords, Elma Zero Strauss. Oh my god, I'm getting tired of everybody complaining about this. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if like everybody wasn't doing it, you know what I mean? It's like Don't get me wrong, I understand because they're like cards that I like that are on this list that, I would like to come back. But at the same time, I'm just like, it's probably not a good idea. So we may as well leave them be until, the meta is ready for them to come back. It's kind of like with Magician of Faith, how that came back eventually. It has to be kind of like that. Otherwise, they're probably not going to come back. And stuff like that. So that's all I got to say about that. For the limitations, Coach Soldier Wolfbark. Everybody called this one. Pretty much everybody called this one. If it wasn't Fire Formation Tanky or Brother of the Fire Fist Bear. You're probably wondering why I did that. I don't know. It's something particular, I guess. But if it was not for Bear or Tanky, it was probably going to be Wolfbark. Now, obviously, Wolfbark is used in the deck for like powerful one card, rank 4 Exceed plays and whatnot, and because we got pretty damn good rank 4s and like number 101 Silent Honor Arc and Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, being able to go into those practically whenever you want is pretty crazy, just with one card. And the crazy thing about it is, with Coach Soldier, you can use this effect more than once while he's face up on the field. Once per turn, mind you, but still, you can bring back a Fire Fist Bear, and then next turn you can bring back another monster if he's still face up. So you kind of have this crazy once per turn reviving effect, not so much restricted to a normal summon or anything. So yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be this. It was not going to be tanky, and obviously they're not hitting tanky because they have a Fire Fist Special Edition box thing, or like a pack deck thing, and it comes with a super rare Fire Formation Tanky. Like that's what it comes with. So yeah, obviously they want to sell that, so Tanky's not getting touched. And the new Bujin stuff from Primal Origins on the way, so they don't want to hit Tanky for that reason either. So instead, you want to hit Fire Fist? Well, you hit Wolfbark, I guess. That's their idea. Mermail Abyssgunde. Now, for people who've watched my Dueling Network videos for a while, you guys will remember that I had quite an obsession with this card. Like I even did this thing where I had the card on the screen, and I would occasionally have speech bubbles, and I would have her say stuff. In fact, I even did I think I did like a whole separate thing where she talks about the Mario Party 3DS game, about the Mario Party Island Tour thingy, whatever. It wasn't out yet at the time. It was just like anticipation at that point. And, while I was talking about random stuff before the actual duel began, I just had her talking about stuff using speech bubbles and stuff like that. So you can kind of tell I love this card quite a bit. And obviously I haven't played the deck lately because I've been playing Plants quite a bit, my Talia Plants deck. But yeah, as far as like this limitation, I kind of expected it in a way. Like, it wasn't something I obviously talked about in a video, but I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if they don't hit Sphere or Abyss like everybody's expecting, the Abyssgunde is probably a decent choice too. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, would it upset me a little bit? Just a bit, but not like, oh my god, the deck's dead now. Oh my god. Yeah, because deck's not dead. Because, to be honest, this is the only thing they hit in the Mermail deck. That's it. They didn't hit Sphere, they didn't hit Lind or anything like that. In fact, out of the freaking mermaids, she's the only one that got limited. So that's kind of crazy. Because I remember when like people didn't even use this card, and I was like one of the few who did. Well, not one of the few, but I was one of the weird people who never thought the card was bad or anything like that, or who always thought the card was good. Maybe she wasn't always great, but she was always good. And she would get better later on, and I just had a hunch, and yeah. There you go. She became this very important key card in the Mermail deck for those Pike Turge plays, and that's why I thought she would probably get limited if nothing else, because essentially that's kind of where the whole rank 4 spamming plays come from here. Same with like Coach Soldier. In fact, they both kind of work similarly to one another, although their effects are somewhat different. and they're using different decks and all that other stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the deck's dead. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be able to like go discard Abyssgunde and then get another one with Abyss Pike, but you still have cards like Salvage, Abyss Turge, or my odd tech of the day in like Aqua Mirror Cycle. But yeah, basically, you just have to be careful with the one copy you run now, because if it gets like debunked or DD Crow, then that's it. That's lights out for her for good. So yeah, this Mermaid's at 1, and guess I'll do an updated Mermail deck profile with just the 1 and see where we go with it, right? Yeah, that'll be fun. Rekindling. Now, this is one of those cards that's like, I did not expect to happen. I mean, I know some people were like wanting this card to get like limited or something because of how ridiculous this card inherently is. You special summon as many fire pyro type monsters with like, there's fire monsters with 200 defense, and then they get banished at the end phase, which that part doesn't matter. You just summon a bunch of fire monsters with 200 defense, and then you do synchro, exceed plays, or whatever, and you had 3 of them. And Laval's, this lets you go for the one. This lets you go for like the 1 card shooting Quasar Dragon play, and of course the 3-axis Fire Fist use it sometimes because you have Spirit and Leopard that are like 200 defense, and you can synchro with them, you can exceed with them, or whatever. So it's like, yeah, some pretty crazy shit could happen. And the thing about this card, and I guess it's with Laval's in general, it's kind of weird. It's a deck that I didn't like for the, well, like, they look cool and stuff like that, but I don't like the fact that it always seemed to be about Quasar, and that's it. I mean, I know that's not 100% true. Long ago, I ran into a Laval deck that was mixed with Lightsworn, and at the time, it looked pretty impressive. It had some weird text in it, but obviously it was supposed to be, yeah, I don't know. It was like a mixture with Laval's and Lightsworn. Now, this was before the new Lightsworn cards came out, so I was just like, whoa, what the heck? This looks kind of cool, because I've never seen it before. And I don't think it was like the Quasar dot deck either, so it was kind of cool. So I guess with this, I guess it kills Laval's, but I don't know. I don't play it, so I wouldn't know. But it does mean that if you want to go for that play, you only have 1 shot at it unless you use like, Magician of Faith to get that back to your hand from the graveyard, or your Magical Stone Excavation or something. Like, basically, unless you have a way to recycle this 1 copy back to your hand, you get 1 shot at it, and that's it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of strange indeed, because it's not the deck. The deck isn't done much. I mean, heck, Quasar hasn't been reprinted for like Europe and stuff like that, so yeah, it's kind of interesting. Infernity Barrier. Now, Infernity Barrier, yeah, I didn't expect this either, but I see why they did it. I know Infernity players might be pretty salty about this. In fact, that's the thing about this list. There's a lot of salt in here. Like, Laval players are obviously upset about Rekindling, and Infernity players are obviously upset about this. Like, out of nowhere, this Infernity Barrier card got limited, and then Rekindling got limited out of nowhere, and then people who played Empty Jar or whatever, they just go, wait, what the heck? Wow, I never thought I'd see Morphing Jar getting banned. Of course, with Morphing Jar, personally with Morphing Jar, even if it wasn't Empty Jar, it was always some degenerate nonsense or something, and I guess they finally decided to get rid of it. I don't know. But yeah, Infernity Barrier, it's one of those cards that's like, the way it's used, well, it's obviously used to like negate anything you want. You use it when you like set up your field, Archfiend, Laval Chains, etc., and you have Infernity Barrier face down. And basically you just say, come at me, bro. And yeah, you have like maybe a couple of these after they do the combo, and you have like Infernity Breaks and some other back row, and it's like, shit, what do I do? It's like, there's not much you can do. I mean, if you want to try to blow up a key back row, it's just, oh, I have Barrier. And yeah, it's just kind of like one of those lockdown cards kind of thing. And I guess it's on like the same level of like Solemn Judgment, and it's kind of like a Solemn Judgment. And I guess they just want to say, Infernity players, if you want to keep playing this card, well, you're going to have to play 1 now and make sure you play it wisely, because it's pretty much the negation card of the deck. Negates anything you want as long as you have an Infernity monster on the field in attack mode and no cards in your hand. You can negate whatever you want. So they're just saying, yeah, you can only run one now. We don't want you going first or doing all your lockdown shenanigans with like triple barrier or whatever and locking out your opponent out of the game. In fact, that's why cards like Macrocosmos are at 1. Same with Soul Drain, because these are cards that just say once these guys hit the field, your opponent can't basically utilize their deck. Basically, like Gustos, they obviously can't work with Macrocosmos being on the field because they can't go to the grave and they can't do their searching or recruiting and stuff like that. So yeah, you have that to look forward to as well. So it's kind of interesting. For the summon limitations, we have Necroface, which is like, Necroface is kind of interesting because this card's been at like 1 for the longest time, and like when I look at the card, I'm just thinking, is there like some kind of loop with this card if there was a 2? I don't know, maybe, and maybe someone can explain what that is, if there's anything. I mean, maybe Infernal Tempest can use it. I don't know, I've heard that somewhere. I mean, I ran into it once and it had a Necroface in it, but I don't know if 2 made the deck broke or if there's like some weird infinite loop thing, because when you normal summon it, you put all your banished cards back, and then when you banish it, you banish the top 5. So it's kind of weird how it works. So I don't know, it's just kind of like, why? Like, I guess because Gold Sarcophagus is at 1. I know that it was at 3 before, and this card was at 1. So I guess if it would have gone to 2, then Gold Sarc Necroface abuse for days. But I don't know. It's just kind of really strange. I'm trying to figure out why they put it to 2. Maybe it's because Gold Sarc's at 1, which is at 1 because of Dragon Rulers. Yeah, you kind of see where we're going with this. Some of these cards have been hit just for really strange reasons. Heck, Dragon Rulers got that Gold Sarc banned. Heck, not banned, limited. Like, would that card have been limited if Dragon Rulers didn't exist? Eventually, maybe, because people might have abused it in a different way, and then maybe it would have gotten limited then. But I don't know. Hieratic Seal of Convocation. Wasn't this card semi-limited like a couple formats ago? Like, I'm sure you guys remember that, right? This card was at 2, and then this card went to 3 last format, and then now it's back at 2, so someone can't make up their minds, and I guess, I don't know, like, watch it come back to 3 again. So we'll have to see where that goes, and I don't have much else to say about it. For the Unlimits, Magical Stone Excavation. Not sure how I feel about this one, because I know that it's used in, like, some degenerate decks or something like that, but I guess they've been hit a lot too, so maybe this card's okay at 3. I don't know, I'm not an expert, I don't use those, so I would know, but I've seen this card used in those kind of decks with like the Exodia with the golden bamboo sword or whatever, like some weird build like that. Then Primal Seed, same with this card. This card's been at 1 whenever BLS or Chaos Emperor Dragon would be at 1, which I don't see Chaos Emperor Dragon coming back anytime soon. But whenever Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning was limited, Primal Seed was at 1. And then if Blackluster Soldier was banned, this would be at 3 because you obviously can't use it without Blackluster Soldier, so you put it at 3. So I'm trying to figure out why did they put this to 3? I guess because macro and shit's at 1, now you can't just go have, like, you don't have as easy of a time doing any infinite card damage thing. I don't know. It's very strange and convoluted, but it's like at the end result, you basically get like 2 of these. You get like 1 of these banished for whatever, but you obviously need Blacklist Soldier. And then if you're using a card like Ukazi and Sparks that do burn damage, you have it set up to where you have Ukazi and a Primal Seed banished, obviously. And you're obviously going to have Primal Seed banished with like Macrocosmos or Banisher of the Radiance. Then you go So you have a Primal Seed banished, activate Ukazi, inflict 800 damage. It gets banished, so you activate Primal Seed, get the other Primal Seed and the Ukazi back, activate Ukazi, inflict 800 damage, then activate the Primal Seed again, get the other two back, and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's so convoluted, and I'm thinking, why did Konami do this again? Like, I don't know. Like, I remember there was some stupid infinite burn or infinite attack thing that Asian Eyes White Dragon showed, and I'm just like, Konami really thinks this is okay. Like, we'll see what happens with it, but I don't like this. I don't like this. The possibility of that kind of thing happening, I don't like it. I mean, it might look cool. I mean, obviously getting Beaver Warrior to like infinite amount of attack is kind of cool, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like an inconsistent but really awkward, degenerate thingy. I don't know. Like, people are gonna abuse it somehow, and then Konami's gonna be like, shit, why did we do this? But then they'll put it back to 1. So we're gonna have to see what happens. But overall, this list is, like I've said it multiple times, it is very strange. And I say that because honestly, they didn't do all that much to hit. They didn't do all that much. Now, obviously, they banned the jars, which is a preemptive strike against Jackpot 7 FTK. But when you look at what did get hit to 1, I mean, Coach Soldier was fine hit and stuff like that, but I don't know. Like, obviously, they couldn't hit Tinky because they got to promote the Bujin cards in Primal Origin and the Fire Fist Special Edition thing. And then Mermail Abyssgunde, I guess they didn't want to hit the Searcher and Tias or Sphere. I guess they didn't want to completely kill the deck, but they want to make sure that if you're going to be using Abyssgunde, you'd better have a way to recycle her. Otherwise, you're not searching any more out of your deck. Or you have to use something like Pot of Duplicity, because, I mean, the deck can run different monster types. You have Aqua, Sea Serpent, you have Dragon if you're on Tidal. If you have, like, Xyz of different types, like Dracosack as a machine, Big Eye as a spellcaster, and stuff like that, then yeah, you can use something like Pot of Duplicity to recycle Abyssgunde and 2 other different types of monster cards back, but yeah, you can't search another copy. So I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And then decks like Laval's and stuff and Fire Kings got hit because of Rekindling going to 1, even though they didn't do much. Same with Infernities, I guess, but this is more like they don't want Infernity possibly just being really degenerate turn 1 and having like multiple barriers and stuff like that on the field, basically. In fact, that's kind of the thing with the TCG list right now. We have a lot of shit like Bottomless that are staying at 1, it seems. Same with Compulsory, Eradicator, Macro, Soul Drain. These cards just say, yeah. Well, especially Soul Drain and Macro Cosmos and Dimensional Fissure. They just say, while these cards are on the field, your Bujin cards don't do shit. Your Bujins aren't going to the graveyard. Your Gusto cards aren't going to the graveyard. Your Madolche cards aren't going to the graveyard. Your Sylvan cards aren't going to the graveyard. And obviously they're not banned because, well, at 1, they're not nearly as lethal because obviously MST is a card. But I guess they just didn't want people being in situations where they couldn't play their favorite decks because they relied on the graveyard. And I mean, that's technically why Rescue Rabbit's still at 1, because Dino Rabbit is one of those decks that can, like, abuse those cards too. So they don't want Dino Rabbit being a thing, or it could be a thing, but it's not going to be, like, super duper duper ultra consistent like it used to be back when it had 3 of them. And Triple Tour Guide and everything. 3 Gold Stars if you were playing that. But yeah, it's a very strange list. I felt like they could have done more with it. But that's just me. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. And, oh my goodness. Like, I'm never going to hear the end about Stratos. Like, I'm never going to hear the end about Stratos. And one other remark. I'm so glad that Lone Fire Blossom is not at 3. Like, I'm so glad they didn't move it up to 3. Because you have no idea how upset I would be if this happened. Like, I play Talea Plants, but I think that putting it at 3 is just asking for it to be like, it's already abused at 2 because of Sylvan and stuff like that, but you give them 3 and it's like, yep, we're done. Sylvan tier 0 or whatever. Well, maybe not tier 0, but 3 Lone Fire, that is insane. I'm pretty sure they'd run 3 Lone Fire, and I would run 3 Lone Fire. Like, I would run as many Lone Fires as I was allowed, and that's actually why I was kind of skeptical about Lone Fire being a 2. I know that this card is incredibly powerful, and it always has been. I mean, even if you're not playing the plant engine, you can get Gigaplant, Titania, Talea, Marina, Chirubime. You just have so many options, and I'm so glad it didn't go to 3 for that reason. And then there's stuff like Summoner Monk, that's not at 3, and I know there's some weird reason behind this, and that's why it's still at 2. Same with Trag. Trag's one of those cards that, like, I haven't seen all that much. It's using like a couple decks, but at never more than 2 anyways. Heck, some may even run like 1/1 or something like that as a tag or something. So yeah, like, what do you guys think about this list? You know, like, what cards do you think they should have like unbanned? Or yeah, because like they didn't bring anything back from the forbidden list. So no Stratos, no Bionic with an errata, no Dark Strike Fighter. I know people were like buying a Dark Strike Fighter to anticipating this card to come back for the TCG as well, which is not the case. Same with the Trishula, back when everybody thought Trishula was coming back. And at the time, this was when we had different lists from the OCG, as we found out. So what we thought was going to be the same for us ended up being a whole different list. And I guess they just don't want Trishula coming back. Same with Glow Up Bulb. I don't want that card coming back. Like, yeah, I really don't want that coming back. It's because it's just like really, it's, I don't know, for what the card is, I don't like it. It's, I don't know, I don't want to go any further than that. I mean, you can leave comments about it and I'll respond, but I'm not going to go any further than that. But yeah, it's just a really strange list. And yeah, I mean, they did what they did. It's a good list, but it's very strange at the same time. So anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.